So the breathing drill that we use to teach diaphragmatic breathing is going to involve some sort of external feedback for your pelvic floor. This is the deflated kid's ball. I put like 1 or 2 puffs of air in it. You could use like a pillow, you can use your hands. Anything that's going to provide external feedback to your pelvic floor is going to be really helpful. So I'm going to have this guy, I'm going to lay it long ways and I'm going to sit on it so that it poofs up a little bit more to the back. So I'm going to have a little bit of air here. This is going to put my pelvis into a neutral position. Next, I'm going to have some sort of like external feedback for my ribs. So this is a resistance band. You can use like a scarf, fabric, really anything that could provide some resistance to the back and the sides. So the first thing I want to focus on is my rib expansion and movement. So again, inhales are down and out. I want to load and lengthen and expand. And my exhales are going to be up and in. So first I'm going to focus just on my rib cage movement. So I want to inhale and then exhale to relax. So I'm inhaling, expanding back and sideways, and then exhaling to just relax at this point. So I'm going to do about 10 breaths just focusing on that. So inhale, really focusing on my ribs expanding sideways and backwards. If for some reason you're having a really hard time feeling your ribs expanding, which is not uncommon, you can try rounding a little bit in your upper back. And sometimes that helps, or even like going a little bit laterally if you're feeling like maybe one side of the ribs are not moving very well. So after you do 10 breaths of just the rib cage, then we're just going to focus on just the pelvic floor's movement. So again, load and lengthen. So I'm going to inhale down and out, really think expand in my pelvic floor. Should feel my pelvic floor push against the ball, and then I'm going to exhale up and in. So I can either just relax, or I could do a little bit of like a Kegel or pelvic floor activation during the exhale portion. So if I wanted to Kegel again, there would be no squeeze or clench in my glutes. So this would be not a good Kegel. A good Kegel you shouldn't be able to see from the outside. You should only be able to feel it. So think closing the elevator doors and I'm lifting the elevator up. And it should be gentle enough to where if you were picking up a blueberry with your vagina, you wouldn't crush it. So inhale, think push my pelvic floor into the ball, load and lengthening, both in the front and back. And then exhale, up and in. Inhale, down and out. Exhale, up and in. You can also feel your abs turn on a little bit, starting from the bottom and maybe working their way up. Belly might come out during those inhales as you load and lengthen, and then exhale, belly is going to come back in. If you're having a hard time feeling the pelvic floor turn on, sometimes putting like a ball or something between your thighs to turn on those inner thighs can help too. So as I get ready to exhale, I would exhale, squeeze the ball, lift in my pelvic floor, inhale, release the ball, expand in the pelvic floor. So inhale, squeeze, exhale, release. Now, after I've done 10 breaths in just the pelvic floor, I want to combine the two. So I'm going to pick my band back up, put my external feedback onto my rib cage. Maybe I still want to use my ball. And now it's a sequence. So my rib cages are going to expand, and then my pelvic floor is going to load and lengthen. Pelvic floor is going to lift, rib cage is going to come back in. So it'll look like this. So I would do 10 breaths focusing on the sequence all together, and then I would try to incorporate this with movement. So either with gentle movement or with the actual workout that I might be doing. So the way to coordinate that is when I inhale, I want to inhale when my muscles are all lengthening, when I'm going with resistance. So for example, when I'm squatting, when I'm lowering in the squat, I would inhale, expand, and lengthen because all my muscles are generally lengthening at this point. Exhale, I want to exhale up and in when I'm going against resistance or in the part of the movement where my muscles are contracting or shortening. So like coming up out of the squat, I would exhale up and in, and I'm going to exhale tension to task. So my exhale is only going to be as strong as what I need it to be. So if I was just sitting here, I'm not going to sit and like Kegel my pelvic floor to my throat. But if I was lifting like 100 pounds, I probably would have a lot more forceful of a pelvic floor activation to counter that resistance. So again, tension to task. Exhale on exertion, exhale on the hard part of the movement, generally when you're going against resistance, so pulling towards your body, pulling whatever towards you, pressing away is going to be another one, squatting, coming up out of the squat or like out of the deadlift would be going against resistance. So again, inhales down and out. We want everything to expand, load, and lengthen. Exhales are going to be up and in, and meet that exhale tension to task.